verse 100,
No,
saying...
no, don't say I tried. I used it.
Okay.
Allah is pleased with the Muhajirin and
Okay,
Ansar.
okay.
However, the Murtadin, the Munafiqeen, Allah is not speaking about
You can
them.
refute me.
The Sahaba radiallahu an, Allah is not speaking about those who became Murtadin.
Yeah.
Allah is not speaking about those who are Munafiqeen. Allah is not speaking about Abdullah ibn Ubay. You hate me and you adopt my son. That doesn't make sense.
Did I adopt your son or did I marry your wife?
Exactly, and coming to that as well. You married my wife.
Because your wife always
Who's a
had good
widow.
relations with my wife. And your wife was a very loyal person to my wife from the beginning.
Who's a widow. So you're claiming now...
You don't know that.
Just because some of the companions and they marched from Egypt and so forth, that doesn't mean that they wanted to kill Uthman.
Okay.
Many of them wanted to remove him because if that's the case...
but
No, let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain, brother.
Okay.
Because if that's the case, then what we're saying is that the Shia reason for hating Uthman is completely fabricated because you can find, even in your narrations, that Ali radiallahu an sent his own sons, okay, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu an, to protect him, and Hassan was injured from his head. Your four
You
statements.
do realise you're on Black Dunya. Black Dunya is the same
Stop
cut.
it,
Black Dunya is the same cut.
Okay, you got it, man. Wallah, you got it.
He's a hard guy to cut.
Uncut. Everything's uncut.
Bro, wallah, you can't do that, bro. Wallah, you can't. Wallah, you can't. No, but even if you blur my face, you can't keep the bits where he goes toilets and stuff like that.
My name is Zain Rizvi, also known as the Shia Blade owner, and we have today brother...
Rehan, I'm not known as anything.
Okay.
Just Rehan,
We'll bleep that bit out. But inshallah, got in contact with the brother. He had some questions that he wanted to ask the Shia community. And
Big up Black Dunya.
We always will big up Black Dunya, the one that has no censorship, full content, and inshallah... I didn't say anything.
We're going to have to edit that part. Uncut.
But inshallah, the brother had some questions that inshallah we're going to try and answer to the best of our ability. And inshallah, we'll have a good discussion.
We shouldn't say that obviously this is something where we're trying to refute each other or anything like that.
Of course not.
We're not here to do that.
We're here to learn from each other.
Yeah,
right?
inshallah, that's the plan. So we're here to discuss and just ask questions and just answer each other, inshallah. We're not here to just be in each other's throats or anything like that.
Of course, brother, it's all love. So inshallah, brother, if you start with some of your grievances or maybe outline some of the topics that you wanted to discuss or that you were curious of.
Inshallah. So I'd like to begin by saying بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أرض سادتنا أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعنه صحابتي أجمعين وتابعين وتابعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. So I ask Allah to preserve my leaders, the four Khalifs of Islam who can be followed at any time, and the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the generation that came after them, and the generation that came after the Tabi'een, the Tabi'een. So the first thing which I just wanted to discuss was obviously actually some of the things that I want to discuss. So obviously Muawiyah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, Hussein, Hassan and Hussein, Karbala, then the Tabi'een and the generation that came after them. Obviously the brother was telling me that he doesn't want to really discuss, the brother Raza was saying that we shouldn't really talk about politics or modern day Shia Sunni. So we'll leave that aside inshallah.
Sure.
But let's focus more on Muawiyah or Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, and Ali, Karbala, Hussein. If we have time, maybe go into tawassul or things like that. But if not, let's just stay there. So
it seems like the main sort of hemisphere or topic would be Adalat al-Sahaba.
Yeah, Sahaba radiallahu anhu.
Yeah.
Mainly.
So Adalat al-Sahaba would, if you could just tell me if I'm correct, is the belief in Sunni theology that every single companion that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had was just individual who never attributed a lie to him. All 114,000 companions were all just, and they never attributed a lie to the Prophet. Would you agree with that?
Okay, so first of all, as we know, there was a surah Munafiqeen revealed. There's a whole surah actually revealed about a Sahaba who betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, so I think it was that Battle of Uhud or one of the battles. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. So it's not necessarily the case that every single Sahaba is just, because if that was the case, then Surah Munafiqeen wouldn't be there.
Sure.
For him. So obviously, when we say Adalat Sahaba, when we say the justice of Sahaba, that if somebody was alive at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and witnessed, basically saw him and spent time with him, there's one view that that person is a Sahaba, and another view is that a person has to have battles fought with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and so forth, and he should be among the Muhajirin or the Ansar. But that's not necessarily that doesn't mean that a person isn't a Sahaba if they became a Sahaba after those events. But the Quran specifically speaks about the Muhajirin and the Ansar, and Allah praises them. And He says, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. So Allah is pleased with them. Yeah. My concern is as a Sunni.
But if I could just stop you there, but you
Yeah.
see that definition you're given there,
Yeah.
that anybody who sees the Prophet or, for example, spent time with him,
Yeah.
under that definition, how would you ascertain who is a munafiq and who is not? Because they haven't been put to a test for anything really to ascertain whether they are a true believer or actually fought in wars or whether they actually were munafiq or not. So with that definition there, you said
No,
right,
no,
we
no,
wouldn't
I'm not
include
saying-
the munafiqs,
no,
but
no,
in that definition, where have you created that partition between who you would recognize as a Sahaba
No, is-
and a munafiq?
Yeah, okay, so obviously for us Sahaba are those who basically we Ahlus Sunnah we view them as trustworthy and respected. But just because someone was with the time of the Prophet and he saw them, that doesn't mean necessarily that they are correct. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in another hadith, he said to a Sahabi, I'll get the reference inshallah if you want it. He said to him that I'm going to tell you now all of the munafiq. I'm going to tell you their names. He told that Sahabi privately. I'm not sure if you're aware of it.
Yeah, I've heard
and this
of
was
that
at the time
reference.
of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they are Sahaba, yeah? They were with the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet is telling this Sahabi, I'm going to tell you the munafiqeen.
I agree with that, yeah.
Now, one of these Sahaba, radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he wanted to know who the munafiqeen were. So he would follow the Sahabi that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told who the munafiqeen, he told him personally who the munafiqeen are. So Umar ibn Khattab wanted to know. But the thing is, that Sahaba, he went to all of their janazas, do you see? So it was very difficult to find out who's a munafiq and who isn't. So it's not necessarily the case that everyone who just saw the Prophet is just.
That's fine.
Kalla. That's not necessarily the case. Because otherwise, what's his name? The at the Battle of Uhud, it was, or who betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that so-called Sahabi. I think so. And he was someone who basically, became a munafiq. So
you can accept that there were certain munafiqs which were part of the
of
Sahaba,
course.
and so that not every single one is a just individual.
No. I don't say they were part of the Sahaba. Okay, look. There were certain people who saw the Prophet that were among the munafiqeen. Yeah, like that Abdullah ibn Ubay. I believe
Yes.
if I'm correct, inshallah. However, that doesn't mean that we accept the viewpoint of mainstream Shia that Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman are munafiqeen, or Khalid ibn Walid is a munafiq. Or
Of course, these are these are specific individuals.
Um,
That's fine, and we can talk about each individual.
No.
But in terms of the concept as a whole, like you said, anybody who saw the Prophet was a companion. And then he said some of these people who saw the Prophet was a munafiq. So under those two premises, you have to accept that some of the Sahaba were munafiq. So?
not some of those who saw the Prophet, but Sahaba as a definition, is those who the Prophet ﷺ said are his companions and he loves.
Sure.
Yeah? But those who he said are munafiqeen,
Sure.
just because they were with him does not mean they are Sahaba by definition.
Okay, so one that he specifically mentioned.
The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that
Okay.
those who are his companions,
Sure.
that he loves, and those who were with him. Now, I completely disregard and disagree with the viewpoint that, Umar was a coward, or because some Shia have said this, and I've seen in some of your videos, you haven't said he's a coward openly, but you've made some claims.
Okay.
And I totally disagree that, the Prophet ﷺ was displeased with Abu Bakr, Umar, or Uthman,
Sure.
or Aisha, who his wife, because they are the mothers of the believers.
Sure.
Do you see? And
We can. I say we'll go inshallah into each one of these individuals'
Inshallah.
personalities, and I'll explain my grievances about them.
Okay,
But
inshallah.
if you could, in general, like you said, forget about the ones that the Prophet has specifically mentioned as a general concept. Putting them aside, can you prove to me from the Quran and Sunnah, outside of these individuals, that anyone who saw the Prophet was a just individual? Yeah, any Sahabi.
but I'm not
who saw the
making
Prophet.
that claim.
You don't make the claim
I'm
that
not
any
making
Sahabi
that
was a just individual that never attributed a lie to the Prophet.
You shouldn't say Sahabi, but I'm not making the claim that any person who saw the Prophet at his time
Yes.
was just, because in that case,
Do you believe
Abdullah
every
ibn Ubay
Sahabi
would
was
have been
just? But do you say every Sahabi was just?
every Sahabi
Adul.
definition in the sense that those that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was pleased with.
Okay.
Yeah? Those that he was pleased with, just.
Okay, because this is actually quite.
However,
The Sunnis usually claim that every single companion who was with the Prophet and who saw him
There's-
was udur.
there's ikhtilaf in even Ahlul Sunnah, and there's even ikhtilaf in the Shia school of thought when it comes to specific. companions such as Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman as well. فهمني? So it's
There's no ikhtilaf about Abu Bakr and Uthman.
there is because there is. I'll tell you why.
Inshallah, we'll go into it.
We'll go into that. Not every Shia curses Abu
But
Bakr, Umar or Uthman or doesn't accept them. There are Shia that accept them. We can go into
Inshallah,
that.
we'll go into it.
We'll go into
But,
it, inshallah.
so you're saying not every single Sahabi is just. You're saying the ones that Prophet was pleased with.
Every single person who saw the Prophet, that does not necessarily mean that anybody who saw the Prophet, that they are just. Because in that case, Abdullah ibn Ubay, as you said,
would
be
but
just.
once again, he's a specific person who the Prophet, who came out openly as a Prophet.
And there were people that we may not know, but the Prophet Muhammad did tell one Sahabi specifically that they are munafiqeen. And the thing is, that Sahabi still went to their janazah.
Okay.
Do you see? Because it's hikmah.
Sure.
Yeah? And so I'm not making that claim that anybody who saw the Prophet or was with him is just. No, that's not the claim I'm making.
Okay.
But I'm here to defend Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, and I'm here to defend my mother Aisha, and I'm here to defend basically the Ahlul Sunnah perspective of Karbala, Hussein radiallahu anhu, Hassan radiallahu anhu, our Sayyid, because the Prophet said that Hassan is a Sayyid, and he explained why, because he will make a reconciliation. There will be a time.
We can go into this groups. But would you not want to discuss Adalat Sahaba from the Quran? Sunnah?
Well, I'm not making a claim that all Sahaba are just.
Because that is the predominantly Sunni belief, brother.
Brother, that's not all Sunni belief. If you're saying Sahaba as in who the Prophet are pleased with, the definition of Sahaba radiallahu anhu, okay, yes, those who saw the Prophet, but those who that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically was happy with, yeah, somebody who saw the Prophet.
That condition is not there, Akhi.
What do you mean?
That he was happy with them. It's only that he saw him. That's exactly the grievance that we have. That we say just by seeing him, but the Prophet doesn't necessarily please with him. But you're here saying no, the Prophet also has to be pleased with him. But we're saying no, that's not what the Sunnis are claiming. The Sunnis are claiming that anybody who saw him is a Sahabi, and therefore he becomes just. This is what the Sunnis claim.
That's not what every Sunni claims about.
It is, Akhi.
No, it's not. It's not.
Just interjection, brother. Rehan, could you just define what a Sahabi is?
Yes.
In the Sunni,
In your perspective, then.
Okay, so a Sahabi radiallahu an is somebody who was alive at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, spent time with him, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was pleased with that specific individual. Abdullah ibn Ubay saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was somebody who became a munafiq.
Define pleased with.
Pleased as in he was happy, he was content with them. Yeah.
But how would you prove that?
What do you mean prove that?
How would you prove that he's pleased with someone?
Because we have seerah, we have hadith, and so forth.
So about specific individuals.
About individuals, yeah.
So if he never spoke about a specific individual in a good light, what would you regard the other ones as?
What do you mean?
The ones that he never spoke about in a good light specifically.
If the Prophet Muhammad what we say is that if the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if he didn't criticize, if he didn't basically sort of specifically warn against the individual, if he didn't say that this person is a clear munafiq and so forth, yeah, at that time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we Ahlul Sunnah as Muslims, we don't curse that person or consider them not to be a Sahabi and so forth.
Yeah. But so anyone that's not specifically mentioned,
no,
who saw the Prophet is a Sahabi and he's a dul. So?
No. Doesn't necessarily mean they're a dul or just.
That's the Sunni.
Let me explain. That's not all Sunni claim. What we're saying is the Sahaba radiallahu anhu are those that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is pleased with, and he was alive. Brother, please don't record, man.
I wasn't recording.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that time, do you see? Now, I've seen that video of you with Hussein and him saying, oh, Adal Sahaba, and he's saying that, all Sahaba are just and so forth, like that. Like all those that saw the Prophet. Because Sahaba, for Sunni as definition, are those that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam specifically loved. Yeah, specifically loved.
But have you read, for example, the Balkan Companions by Ibn Abd al-Bar or Usad al-Ghaba by Ibn Athir? Have you read these kind of works of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah which explain the definitions that I've just mentioned?
I've heard about the works of Ibn Kathir.
Because I can tell you now that the Sunni claim is that every single companion who saw the Prophet every single person who lived with the Prophet who saw him is a companion, and that companion is a just individual who never attributed light to the Prophet. Of course, you might have specific individuals who are munafiqs, that's fine, but outside of those individuals which were not specifically mentioned by name, every single one of those other companions is a just individual who never attributed light to the Prophet.
What we're saying is, Ahlul Sunnah, that every single person who saw the Prophet, I just want to make this clear, every single person that saw the Prophet does not necessarily mean that they are just. What we are saying is, because if that's the case, then why did Surah Munafiqeen come down?
Yes, that's our claim. Exactly.
Let me explain.
This is our claim.
We Ahlul Sunnah, would not read Surah Munafiqeen, which is specifically regarding an individual who betrayed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, we would not read that if we believe that every single person who saw the Prophet and lived at that time was a Sahaba. No, that's was just. Sorry, that the definition of Sahabi. We need to make it clear. Yeah, we need to make it clear. And just because some people have told you that every single Sahaba, every single person. Sorry, I'm saying the word Sahaba.
Yes.
Every single person that saw the Prophet is just. It's not necessarily the case because there was individuals that betrayed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and obviously we know from the works of certain classical scholars about people such as Abdullah ibn Ubay who betrayed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Specific individuals. So we keep going around in circles. So we're saying, I'm saying the specific individuals which were mentioned by the Prophet, which were hypocrites. Let's leave them to the side. Let's put them to the side.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone else that saw the Prophet, he's a Sahabi, sir, because he saw the Prophet.
Just because they saw the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yeah. If the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they saw the Prophet and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved them and they fought with him in battles and so forth, and they were with him from the start to the end and so forth, not necessarily start to the end, but someone who basically the Prophet loved, yeah. That's a Sahabi.
We're using loose terms here because you can't define
Sahabi.
who someone. The definition that you put in place is anyone who sees the Prophet. It's not that the Prophet loved them and they went to wars with them. The definition that you put in place at the beginning was that they saw the Prophet, sir.
They saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes.
That's
the
it. They're
Sahaba
defined
of
as a
the Quran.
companion after that.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are Sahaba in the sense that they are worthy of mentioning as Sahaba, because the Jews
They
saw the
are.
Prophet.
In the Sunni theology, I believe they are.
Brother, not necessarily. You can't just say Sunni or whatever,
Because I get Ibn
let
Abdul
me
Barak.
explain.
Yeah, go for it.
That means that in that case, if we're going to use that definition, that means the Jews at the time who saw the Prophet and so forth, they were Sahaba because they saw the Prophet. No.
Let me just explain the definition that Sunnis usually give. It's anyone who saw the Prophet and died in a state of Iman.
Died in a state of Iman.
So they were Muslim. So the Jews wouldn't come underneath that.
Of course not.
Okay, so that example, that doesn't make sense because that example...
No, but the example you're giving, you're saying, because you didn't say that at first, you said, anybody who's...
Okay, let me just reiterate the Sunni position is any person who saw the Prophet and died on Iman is a Sahabi of Rasulullah. This is what the Sunnis claim.
Also, also one interjection. Nobody died on the state of Iman, but it saw the Prophet in the state of Iman.
Sorry.
So otherwise, that would be the Jews.
Yeah.
You're right.
State of
So
Iman.
saw him in the state of Iman
And died upon
then
that
died
as a Muslim.
and died as a Muslim.
Died as a Muslim.
Would you agree to that?
As a Muslim. So examples that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, we have Abu Bakr ibn Uthman as
All of them.
already.
All of them who saw the Prophet.
So
This is the point I was trying to make. So if you exclude those specific individuals, yes, can you prove this concept to me from Quran and Sunnah that anyone who saw the Prophet, he's a companion, and he is a dul, meaning he is a just individual that never attributed a lie to the Prophet.
But what do you mean by never attributed a lie to the Prophet?
Meaning they wouldn't lie about him.
So are you claiming that there were Sahaba that made a lie about the Prophet sallallahu
No,
alaihi
the
wasallam?
Sunnis claim. I believe they were.
Okay,
The Sunnis claim.
Aside from obviously you have an issue with Muawiyah, but aside from Muawiyah, which Sahaba radiallahu an are you claiming that made a lie?
I'll go
about
to
the
that.
Prophet
I'll
sallallahu
prove
alaihi
it.
wasallam?
But first, you would have to prove your statement first for me to disprove
Okay.
yours.
So
right?
do you know the verse about as-sabiqun as-sabiqun awwalun? Do you know about that verse?
9-100.
I believe so.
Okay.
Let me get the verse. Inshallah.
Yeah, please go on.
So there's a verse general, and then there's another one specifically Muhajirin and Ansar.
Sure.
Radiallahu anhum,
Sure.
waradu an.
Yeah, sure, we're going to them.
So the Muhajirin and Ansar, and those who followed them with good conduct, Allah is pleased with them. Yeah, and they are pleased with Him. And He has prepared for them gardens beneath which rivers flow, wherein they will abide forever. And this is the great attainment. So this, obviously, radiallahu anhu wa radu an is basically one of the verses regarding Sahaba radiallahu an in the Quran that we say. But the claim that you said, anybody who saw the Prophet and so forth, that person is a Sahaba. No, because Abdullah bin Ubay wasn't a Sahaba. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay.
Yeah, that there were munafiqeen, and even though there was a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to one Sahabi, the munafiqeen.
That's fine.
Yeah, we may not know, but even though.
But
they
from
were
this
munafiqeen,
ayah, would you say that anyone who was a Muhajir Ansar, Allah is pleased with?
the Muhajirin and the Ansar.
So from this ayat, you're trying to prove to me that
Because I know what you're
companion-
going to come to, brother. I know you're going to say, oh, there was some from the Muhajirin and Ansar that became. I know what
maybe,
you're coming
maybe,
to.
but my point is,
Brother,
we have to establish
Mashallah.
from this ayat,
Mashallah.
are we trying to prove that everyone from the Muhajir and Ansar was udul?
This is very. This brother is a very intelligent brother.
We have to
Very
understand.
intelligent,
we have to
mashallah.
understand what you're trying to prove from this verse. Is it that every single person who was a Muhajir Ansar was udul, who never attributed the light to the Prophet? Is this what you're trying to prove from your premise?
What we are saying is that the Muhajirin, those first who migrated, and the Ansar, and so for example, when the Muslims went to Abyssinia to seek, to seek shelter and so forth, and then obviously the Ansar as well, who were with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so forth. We say that they're just now. I understand which argument you're gonna bring. You're gonna say, oh, but there was some who were from the Muhajirin and Ansar and they betrayed the Prophet and stuff like that.
Would you agree with that?
I know you're gonna go into that, but we Ahlul Sunnah, we have different historical understanding to the Shia.
Sure.
We have different historical perspective, especially when it comes
So if
to,
I could just understand your narrative, yeah, sure, go for it.
especially when it comes to Saifullah al-Muslul, radiallahu anhu, Khalid ibn Walid, because we totally reject the Shia cursing or slander against him. We totally 100% unilaterally reject the slander against Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. And I can bring you proofs from the Shia books as well that he's not a reason for you to hate or curse, because it's just from your books, inshallah.
Sure.
And when it comes to Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, that there is no way on earth that there's.
I have no issue. We can go into these specific individuals. We'll go into them in due course time. But the point is, from this verse, I need to understand what your aqidah is from this verse. Do you believe that every single person who was a Muhajir and Ansar was a just
Okay, let me ask you a
a
question.
Sahabi?
Let me ask you a question.
But can you answer mine first?
Let me ask you. If you answer me first, inshallah, if that's okay, and then I'll answer you.
Okay.
So from the Muhajir and Ansar, from this verse, are you telling me that you disagree with this verse?
Disagree? No, I do agree with
No,
the verse.
let me ask you.
I
This
agree
is
with
a
the
verse
verse.
from the Quran.
I agree with the verse.
So you agree?
Yeah, everything from the Quran is preserved.
Okay. So now, the Muhajirin and the Ansar, you are going to say that, there were those who betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can you tell me specifically which individual you are speaking about and which time it is?
That's fine. But the point, let me give our theology on the verse first. So we will say that this verse is general, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with these individuals, as it was a good act, it was a good amal. But to say that unconditionally every single person who is a Muhajir Ansar and is a person whom Allah is pleased with, we would disagree. For example, if you go to Surah 9 verse 72, I'll explain what I'm trying to refer to. You go to Surah 9 verse 72.
Okay.
Just let me know when you got it out.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You go ahead. You go to the verse and show me, inshallah. I'm just getting some stuff, inshallah.
No, I want your attention, Aki.
One second.
Yeah, go on. I'll wait for you.
So, are you getting it? 972.
I've got it up. I was just
Okay,
waiting.
yeah, sure.
So if you read Surah 9 verse 100, which is the verse where you're trying to
Go
prove
ahead.
Adalah from Sahaba. If you read Surah 9 verse 100 first.
Okay, we've read that. We've been through that.
Okay,
Muhajirin
could
and Ansar,
you just mention it one more time, the English?
I took it off because I went to.
Okay, it says that Allah is pleased with Muhajir and Ansar.
Yes,
Allah
no,
has
I
prepared
know
for
that
them
verse.
gardens, yeah?
Yeah.
So now if you read Surah 9 verse 72, it says, Allah has promised to the believing men and the believing women gardens beneath which rivers flow to abide in them, and goodly dwellings in gardens of perpetual abode, and best of all is Allah's goodly pleasure, that is the grand achievement. Now this is referring to the believing men and women, which you and I would be included under, sah? Inshallah, if we are Muslim.
Bi-idhnillah.
Right? Now, the point is that you and I would definitely agree that not every person who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah would be included within this verse. So, it's general.
Nah.
If they satisfy the other requirements and conditions, inshallah, let me finish. If they satisfy the other requirements and conditions laid out in the entire Quran and Sunnah, then they will be included within this verse. Now, likewise, same interpretation of 9-100. When Allah is saying He's pleased with those Muhammad Ansar and He has prepared for them gardens, we're saying yes, this is true, but they have to satisfy all the other conditions with Quran and Sunnah to be included within this verse. So in short, what I'm saying is no, not every single person who was a Muhajir Ansar would be going to heaven, and Allah has prepared gardens for them. So this is the Shia apology.
Let me explain. To come back to Adala, the justice, okay, so migration, jihad through their limbs, in which they wage war for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for their families, spending of their wealth. For example, Abu Bakr and freeing Bilal, one example. Okay, for the sake of the Medina state, their efforts in spreading Islam, these are evidences of the definition of the Sahaba, yeah, the justice of the Sahaba. Now I'm telling you that the Sahaba, such as Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, they were those who did this with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and fought with him, and they risked their lives for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
See, now we're going
Let me
into specifics, right? Okay.
Let me
But my point is, you have to be able to refute my point, because this just says Muhajir Ansar. We haven't said those who really fought with him or loved him, because these are things which we're extrapolating from my
But then
the verse says,
but there's tafsir as well. So you have Ibn Kathir, you have Ibn Qayyim
Sure.
Jawziyah, you have
sure. So not every this is my point. So I've set my standard. Not every single person who simply migrated to the Prophet is adul, or is Allah has perpetuated guidance for. My point is that there are some who did not. So you have to accept that there are certain individuals underneath this verse who were not adul, who were deviated. Could you accept that there are certain people who are of the Muhajir and who are of the Ansar,
first of all,
who Allah has not prepared guidance for? Can you accept this? I just want a simple yes or no answer.
There's no way on earth that I can, subhanallah, this is a very dangerous claim. For me as a Sunni, to say that there was some from the Muhajir or Ansar that did this and that without knowledge, without any understanding on that issue, or without something which isn't within my realms, this would be a very dangerous claim, and this would be a slander against someone who I may be incorrect, and on the day of judgment Allah may ask me.
That's fine.
But because this is out of my basically out of my knowledge, in terms of you saying Muhajir and Ansar, what we say is we take the Quran in the sense that the ayah says the Muhajir and Ansar, those who migrated, those who.
But I negated that point actually, because when I gave that verse, it said the believing men and women, and Allah said the exact same thing about them. So if you were going to apply that concept, and you were saying about the Sahaba, then you would also have to say, well, I can't talk about this brother, I can't talk about this brother, I can't talk about this sister. And you would never say that concept, because I'm sure there's certain people who claim to be Muslims, you would say this man's kafir. You would say they're kafir. But my point is, you have to also apply this to the Sahaba as well, because Allah's saying the exact same thing about them in this verse. So yeah, you can apply that concept, but then you have to apply that throughout the whole of Quran and Sunnah, which I'm sure you're not willing to do. My point is that, fair enough, you might not be willing to talk about specific Sahaba, and I respect that. Maybe inshallah you won't have sufficient knowledge of them. That's fine, Aki. But the point is, you have to then, if you're not rejecting that belief, then you are accepting this belief that every single person who was a Muhajir Ansar was a Muslim.
What we're saying is, one second, so because obviously I have some stuff that are written, if that's okay, if you don't mind.
You can read them in the meantime if you like to.
Inshallah. So basically,
go for it.
Some argue that this doesn't refer to all the companions, the ayah, the Muhajir and the Ansar. What we're saying is that the other Sahaba, through their actions, we can see that it's just. So one example is jihad in the path of Allah. What they did for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and okay. So one second.
Yeah, go for it.
Another verse, 48:29.
Okay.
Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and those with him are forceful against the kuffar, disbelievers, merciful among themselves. You see them bowing and prostrating in prayer, seeking bounty from Allah and His pleasure. The sign in their faces from the effect of prostration, sujood, that is their description in the Torah, and description in the Gospel is as a plant which produces its offshoots and strengthens them, so they grow firm and stand upon their stalks, delighting the sowers, so that He, i.e. Allah, may enrage by them the disbelievers, the kuffar. Allah has promised those who believe and do righteous deeds among them forgiveness and a great reward. So as we can see from the above verse, Allah describes and praises the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and states that they have been mentioned in the previous prophet, such a description in regards to any person would be sufficient in order to establish their justice. The reliable so now obviously the Shia, they say that there are certain companions that are not just.
Can I respond to that ayat? Inshallah.
Okay, go ahead.
So yes, that's exactly my point. I agree with ayat. So there are if the Muhajir Ansar have done all of these things and they were good human beings, I believe that Allah has prepared guidance for them. But my point is, if they did not do these things, that if they're not satisfying these other conditions which you've laid out from this ayat, Allah will not prepare for them guidance.
But that's exactly what we're saying. We're saying is that there's tafsir of that verse. I personally haven't gone into the tafsir.
Because when you say Muhajir Ansar, there's thousands upon thousands of companions here. And so I need to understand your claim. When you mention this ayat, I mentioned my claim. Allah has prepared guidance for those who are good and who remain to the Quran and Sunnah, and which other verses which you mentioned, like 48:29, who done good. Allah has prepared guidance for them if they follow the Quran and Sunnah. But you have to mention your claim now. Do you believe that every single person who was a Muhajir Ansar was a Sahabi and a Dur?
We're going to come into this.
Can I, inshallah, let me ask one.
We're gonna come.
Inshallah, let me ask one question that will clarify what I mean a bit more.
go ahead.
When it says Sabiqun in that verse, Surah 9 verse 100, yeah, it says the Sabiqun were included within that, right?
The first.
The first one. Now, if you read Jalaluddin Sayyuti in his book Jamil Saghir, Jalaluddin
Is he a
Sayyuti,
Sunni scholar?
yeah, he's one of the biggest Sunni scholars that lived. Jalaluddin Sayyuti in his book Jamil Saghir narrates a hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he narrates that in every age of my ummah there are people who are Sabiqun.
Okay.
In every age of my ummah, there will be people who are from the Sabiqun. Every age.
So are you trying to say that that verse can refer according to him to every single person that comes?
That's what the hadith says.
Let me tell you something. Just because that person that you say is a Sunni scholar does not necessarily mean that all Ahlul Sunnah consider him to be a scholar.
What do you think of Albani?
Let me explain. Shaykh Albani rahimullah, may
Yeah,
Allah be
he
pleased.
said it was Sahih.
Let me explain. Let me explain.
Yeah, go on.
Let me explain. So, there are many other scholars that we take from, that may have a different view, and so there may be ikhtilaf. But just because you say that, one scholar said this, that doesn't necessarily mean that every Sunni believes it.
That's fine.
You understand?
But my point is, he's a Sunni scholar. Albani authenticated this deep and said it was Sahih.
So
that's fine. If you can bring the scholars which said is da'if, or
No, but
you have some
so
evidence for that.
Are you trying to say that as-sabiqun? So are you trying to say that verse regarding the Sahaba radiallahu anhu also includes laymen like us?
It includes Sabiqun, which could include some people in our age of Ummah.
Are you being serious, Akhi? Come on.
This is what the hadith says, Aki. It's not me, it's what the hadith says.
SubhanAllah. Akhi, look, the Quran, the verse of the Quran, when we say sabiqun, yani when Shaykh Albani rahimahullah is speaking about, when you're saying he said that hadith is sahih or Jalaluddin Sayyuti, I remember that hadith, because the hadith you have to first show me, and secondly, from what I remember, just plainly, is that sabiqun as in those who go forward to strive for the deen of Allah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Quran specifically, is speaking about people like us.
Okay.
That verse is for the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin and Ansar. Where did we migrate to?
I'm saying...
No, let me explain.
Okay, go for it.
We are not Muhajirin, and we are not from the Ansar. So to make such a big claim, okay, it is not correct in my opinion. It's dangerous.
Sure.
Okay, and the first forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin and Ansar is very clear.
Can I respond to that one, inshallah? That point, inshallah.
Okay.
So it says in Surah, and as for the Sabiqun, yes, and then it says of the Muhajir and Ansar. So we establish this free, and those who follow them in goodness, the Sabiqun,
Brother, listen,
the Muhajir and Ansar, and those who follow them in goodness.
Okay.
So we've three parties here. So we're saying from the Sabiqun, I know there's Muhajir and Ansar there. I know there's people who follow them in goodness. But this first group, Sabiqun.
Let me explain. When Shaykh Albani, rahmatullahu alayhi, when he was saying, Sabiqun, that doesn't mean he agrees that Sabiqun could specifically mean speaking about us as if we are people who can be praised in the Quran as among the Muhajirin and Ansar. It's saying that Sabiqun as in linguistically, that those who are forerunners in their deen, yes, in Islam, pushing Islam, defending Islam, that's what he is basically speaking about. He's not saying, so basically that first forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin, so basically we have the right to be praised among those who are
if you look at the hadith by itself,
which hadith are you speaking about?
When Rasulullah himself says, I'll show you here if you like it as well. My ummah, there are people who are Sabiqun. So now when he says my ummah, the Sahaba are included within that.
That doesn't mean...
One second, let me just finish the hadith, inshallah.
Okay.
In every age of my ummah. So Sahaba are included within that because they're from his ummah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's other people who are also part of his ummah which are not from the Sahaba as well. So are we from the ummah of Rasulullah?
So
he said in every age of my ummah.
Brother,
Look, you have to look at the hadith. In every age of my ummah. Yeah, go for it.
So now that you've shown me the hadith, makes sense. Brothers, the hadith clearly here says,
in every age of my ummah.
Let me explain. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let me get the thing back as well.
Yeah.
So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, in every age of my ummah there will be sabiqun. Okay, narrated as Sahih. Sorry, Albani rahmatullah alayhi classed it as Sahih. I need to go check this myself to clarify.
The official Arabic scan is there as well.
Okay, so let's say it's Sahih. Yeah? That doesn't mean that just because that hadith says sabiqun that can refer now to the Quran sabiqun. That the Quran mentions sabiqun, so now we can be praised based on that verse. Ma'adallah akhi. This is very dangerous.
How so?
That ayah is praising those forerunners, sabiqun linguistically, forerunners in faith among the muhajirin and ansar. Let me get the Arabic so that I can explain.
Yeah, go for it.
Forgive me, akhi,
That's fine.
Some time. So, when the hadith says sabiqun, yes, there will be those who are forerunners in my ummah every time that will push for Islam. But that doesn't mean that the Quran, the ayah, that we laymen, subhanallah, are praised as alongside
I understand
the
your point.
Muhajirin and
I think Albani is just giving a bit more description of what he says now. Let me just read it, inshallah. I'll refer back to you. Albani actually clarifies what he says when he goes on to follow the hadith. It says, and the first hadith that I present, i.e. the one that I just mentioned, in this volume is the saying of the Prophet, in every century of my ummah there are people who are sabiqun. In this narration there are great glad tidings of this for this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to continue acting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands in every century, and that he says in the Quran, and he mentions in ayat here, and when he mentions in the Quran 35-32, then when we gave the book as inheritance to those of our worshippers whom we chose, among them is he who was harmful to himself, and some who minimize, and some who by the permission of Allah race in charity. This is the greatest virtue. This, and Albani is saying this, shows that it is not only for one century and not for the others. Okay. It is rather general in every age. Let me finish. Show that this shows that is not only for one century and not for the others.
Yes.
It is rather general in every age, as opposed to what is narrated from Aisha, that those in the time of the Prophet proceeded ahead in goodness, and besides that, it opposes that above and Sahih narration. Now, what did he say there? That those in the time of the Prophet proceeded ahead of them in goodness.
No. Let me finish. Let me explain.
Can I just finish what he says?
I'll read.
In this narration, there are narrators who are mutlaq, related by a weak person because he is known to lie. His hadith is abandoned, but he says Sahih excluding this person.
No. Now let's explain. Nowhere in this clarification by Albani, rahmatullah alayhi, you said 35-32. We're talking about 900.
No, he's explaining.
Let me explain.
Go for it.
This explanation by Shaykh Albani, rahimullah, that does not necessarily mean, akhi, that they are speaking about us in that verse. And he's not claiming that, that verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and those forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin and Ansar. Remember this. Allah isn't saying generally those who are forerunners for the deen. He's saying Muhajirin wal Ansar. Yeah? That's what he's saying.
And as for the foremost, the first of the Muhajirin and Ansar, and those who follow them in goodness.
Among the Muhajirin and Ansar.
Yeah? The first of the Muhajirin and Ansar.
Let me get this.
But what you said about Albani was actually incorrect, because he specifically says that it's not restricted to the Ummah of the Prophet. Rather, this ayat, but he's giving an example of another ayat, 35-32.
He's using that for the hadith, brother.
I know, but my point
he's using
is
that for the hadith. If you was to say Shaykh Albani rahmatullah alayhi, there's a separate tafsir of 9-100 where Allah is speaking about the Muhajirin and Ansar specifically.
But it's proving the concept, Aki.
No, brother, listen. Don't show one thing and then use something similar and say that it's the same. It's not the same.
He's saying that the Sabiqun are not just from our Ummah.
No.
It extends to others.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the Quran speaking Sabiqun as Muhajir and Ansar, the forerunners among the Muhajir. That's what's important here.
Okay.
Allah in this verse is saying that and the first forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin and Ansar.
And as for the foremost, the first of the Muhajir and Ansar.
First of the Muhajir and Ansar.
Yes.
As-Sabiqun first.
Yes.
That's what Allah is speaking about.
I accept that this is.
Let me explain.
You know.
Brother, let me finish.
Inshallah, let me just attend to that. It is Muhajir and Ansar. I've accepted this.
Yes.
But I'm saying there are also other people who are Sabiqun which should be included within this ayat.
No, because Allah Azza wa Jal here specifically is referring to the Muhajir and the Ansar. If you was to say, Shaykh Albani said,
I accept they're included.
Let me explain. Because if that's the case, if you're going to say that linguistic hadith, that because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the Sabiqun in every age of the Ummah, then in that case there's every Muhajir and Ansar in his Ummah. Because there's those that migrate to help the Muslims, and there's Ansar. But that doesn't mean that Allah is speaking about them in that verse. Kallah.
You don't believe that every Muhajir and Ansar is included within this ayat?
Akha, you being serious? That ayat is speaking about the Sahaba radiallahu an. Are you telling me that me, if I migrate to Pakistan,
No, it's not nothing to do with migration. It's just mentioning that people in our age of our ummah, regardless of whether they migrate or not, are included with this ayat.
This ayat specifically for the Sahaba
That's fine.
radiallahu an.
We'll reach an impasse there, we'll reach an impasse there. But
because
we've spent a fair deal amount of time. I've given you my position on this ayat. I've said that not every single person from the Muhajir or Ansar is necessarily going to be a people who Allah prepared goodness for. I gave the other example from Surah 9 verse number 72 where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the exact same thing about believing men and women, to which you have not responded to, Aki. So I'm saying, yes, he said the exact same thing about men and women, but you're not going to say that every single bit. But inshallah, let me just finish the point.
What we Ahlul Sunnah is saying, that we are aware of the specific apostasy of certain companions.
So you agree with me that there's certain apostasy, but you accept that not every single person who was of the Muhajir and who was of the Ansar is included within this ayat. Can you accept this principle?
What we say is that those who did not die upon Islam are murtaddeen. Okay?
Yes.
Murtaddeen.
Mm-hmm.
When Allah says, He says, in regards to the apostate companions, the Ahlul Sunnah are very aware of the existence and do not accept them as companions. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even consider them to be Sahaba. So when Allah is speaking about Muhajir and Ansar,
okay,
He's speaking about
those who died upon Islam.
Khair. And by definition, okay, we consider them virtuous. Okay, according to Ahlul Sunnah, a companion is one who dies upon Islam. So if someone migrated, but he apostates after, we do not say that ayah means that person is Allah is pleased with them.
I can accept that. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we've stated a condition. Here's the first condition that you've laid out here: that the person is a Muhajir and Ansar, and that he does not apostatize from the religion, that he dies upon Islam. So this is the first condition that you presented here.
The Ahlul Sunnah, what we say is that those who were at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but they apostated after, and as we said, we gave one example already, and Surah Munafiqeen was released and so forth. We are very clear in our position that we do not consider them to be Sahaba. So when you say, we Ahlul Sunnah, we say, anybody who saw the Prophet. I just told you that's
not saw the Prophet, who was a Muhajir Ansar, because this is the ayat we're looking at right now, isn't it?
Muhajir wa Ansar, but the first in the beginning when we
that's fine, but then you came to this verse in order to prove that all the Sahaba were.
No, I came to this verse to explain the fact that Allah mentions the Sahaba in the Quran and their importance, and the fact that we reject the cursing of the Shia of specific Sahaba such as Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Khalid ibn Walid.
We'll come on to specifics, Aki. We'll come on to specifics, but you have to accept. You mentioned the Muhajir Ansar here, and you've accepted that those who die upon apostasy are not included in this verse. So this is the first condition that you presented here so far. So now we put a condition here that he has to die upon Islam, sir.
Na'am.
Okay.
He has to die upon Islam. If somebody didn't die upon Islam, okay, they are not considered a Sahaba.
I'll go to another. I'll deal with this point, this condition that you put here. But first, could you just reply to my the surah I mentioned, Surah 9, verse number 72, where Allah said the exact same thing about the believing men and women.
What do you mean?
He said the exact same thing that he said in Surah 9, verse 100. About the Sahaba, that he did about the believing men and women in Surah 9 verse number 72. So if you're going to apply this understanding to all the Muhajir and Ansar, you also have to apply it to the believing men and women in Surah 9 verse 72. Inshallah, could you just clarify that?
But we're not saying that every single person that saw the Prophet or Muhajir Ansar, what we say is that the existence of hypocrites among the Muslims is not a cause to reject the concept of justice of the Sahaba, because those hypocrites are not even considered to be Sahaba. So if someone was a Muhajir or someone was an Ansar and he became an apostate or he betrayed the Prophet ﷺ, we don't even consider them to be Muhajir and Ansar. So fahimni. So when Allah is speaking of Muhajir and Ansar in the Quran, if somebody later betrayed the Prophet, Allah is not speaking about that person in the Quran.
Very good. So
yes,
exactly. This is my exact point, and alhamdulillah we got to it. So we've accepted that those people, the Muhajir and Ansar, forget about those who died on apostasy. They left Islam. There were certain hypocrites among these Muhajir Ansar. There were certain munafiqeen, hypocrites among these Muhajir Ansar, which we should not follow.
If there were munafiqeen, that those who betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah is not speaking about them in that verse, and we don't even consider them to be Sahaba or Muhajir Ansar.
Shia position.
Yeah, but
this is not what the Sunnis claim. They said there's no wouldn't you? This is exactly what I wanted to come to.
Don't say that every single person that saw the Prophet or every single person that migrated, every single person that was with him, that they are basically that Allah is speaking about them. No, because in terms of
so there's munafiq in this verse.
No, we're not saying there's munafiq in this verse. Allah isn't even speaking about these people in this verse.
Exactly, no, but there are certain people among the Muhajir Ansar which are munafiq, which do not pertain to this ayat. So
there are people who betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, And if they did betray, we don't even consider them to be as Muhajirin and Ansar. When Allah is speaking about Muhajirin and Ansar and the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, clearly He's speaking about those who the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who migrated with him, and he those who didn't betray him. Yes,
okay,
that's what we Ahlul Sunnah are saying, and we just because there's hypocrites doesn't mean that this nullifies the concept of the justice of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu.
But it does.
No,
Because if there's certain munafiq within
because
there,
there were
then you can't follow them.
hypocrites. There were hypocrites even before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay.
Even during the times of other prophets.
Yes.
Yeah, but that didn't nullify, the status of their companions and their social gathering.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't say every single Sahaba there was udul and just and that we should follow them. So, in the time of Musa, for example.
But what we are saying is...
But you are saying that in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
No, we're saying at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every single Sahaba, who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who loved, who waged, I've given you the conditions,
But you just said Muhajir Ansar here.
Muhajir Ansar, the ones who migrated, the ones who were with him, Allah is speaking about Muhajir Ansar, those who died upon Islam. Those who died as nifaq or murtaddeen, Allah is not speaking about them.
Okay, Allah's not speaking. So they're not.
Khalas.
So I shouldn't follow every Muhajir Ansar then.
No, what do you mean? If you're talking about linguistic Muhajir, when Allah is saying Muhajir wal Ansar,
It's those who done good, not simply those who just migrated with the Prophet.
doesn't
it's those who
literally
done
mean
good.
doesn't mean by literal it doesn't mean those who just, so I go with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and then I betray him later, and automatically just because Allah revealed that verse, I'm just.
Yeah,
Allah.
exactly.
What
This
we're
is the
saying
Shia interpretation.
Yeah, but what are you trying to prove to me then?
That not every single from Muhajir Ansar that I should follow and take my religion from.
But there is a clear error in the Shia school of thought, because you claim that even other Muhajir Ansar Sahaba radiallahu anhu who were just, you say that they were unjust, and you say
We'd
they
have to
were
prove they were
terrorists.
just. We'd have to prove they were just.
Naam, they were just.
Okay, we can go into
We're
that.
talking about
But
Sahaba like
inshallah,
Khalid ibn Walid, like Abu Bakr.
We'll go
Umar,
into
Uthman.
them. But if we just go,
Obviously-
if we stick to the Muhajir Ansar that I mentioned this verse. For example, there was
Brother,
one.
let me
There was.
explain, let me explain.
Inshallah, let me go to
Ahmad
one.
bin Hanbal or Al-Tusi in
Yeah, go for
reality
it.
of a hypocrite that was hiding his own beliefs. And with that said, one needs to provide evidence, for who he considers to be a hypocrite. Now this is where we differ, because you claim that certain other Sahaba were munafiqin, and ma'azallah, we say kalla, they were the best of people. This is where we differ. Naam, we agree that those who were murtaddin, and saw the Prophet, doesn't mean they're Sahaba because they became murtaddin and munafiqin after. Doesn't mean they're Sahaba. Allah isn't praising them. But there are specific individuals that Allah praises.
Sure.
And who are Sahaba.
So now, let me just, since we were talking about Muhajir, we've accepted that we shouldn't, so let me just come to a conclusion. We've accepted that not every single person from the Muhajir Ansar was a dul.
No.
There were certain people. Let me finish.
Brother, let me explain.
Let me finish. I haven't finished my statement. You might agree with it.
Brother, listen.
You might agree with it.
No, I'm not going to agree with it.
I haven't finished.
I'm not going to agree. Brother,
Okay,
I know what you're going to come to.
Let me finish. If I finish and you disagree with
Okay.
it, you can stop me.
Okay.
There are certain people who are apostated and certain people who are munafiq, and we should not take our religion from them.
Brother.
Can we agree this?
Listen.
Do you agree with this?
No.
Okay, tell me
And
what
I'll
about
tell
this
why.
you disagree
No,
with.
I'll tell you why. Because you're saying that Muhajir and Ansar, who Allah speaks about in the Quran, there were some of those that apostated. What we say is that those that apostated and betrayed, they were not. Allah isn't speaking about those individuals.
This is what I'm saying.
No, but you just said clearly now that some people of the Muhajir and Ansar,
Yeah, but obviously Allah's not referring to them in this ayah.
Allah isn't referring to.
That's my point. So you don't have to disagree so quickly. I'm saying the same thing as you. Okay, there are certain people who are Muhajir and Ansar. Wait, let me finish. Who are apostated, who are munafiq, but Allah in this ayat is not telling us to follow them, and He's not telling us that these are the people that He's referring to when Allah has prepared good tidings for.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
now, for example, I just want to mention one individual who is part of this verse, and I want you to comment on him. For example, Abdurrahman bin Udais. So,
I knew he was going to bring
he
that.
was one of the men.
Let me tell the
He
audience,
was.
brothers, let me tell the audience.
Yeah,
This is
that's
what
fine.
they do.
You
This is what
can
they
tell
do.
them, yeah.
Mashallah, the Shia brothers, they are very intelligent. They're very smart. They try to twist you. They try to. Let me explain. They try to quickly show you one verse, and they try to say, "Oh look, Allah is a Muhajir," but this person, Abdurrahman bin Udais,
I want to ask you, yeah.
he betrayed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, but specific individuals. That doesn't mean that they are praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's why I'm asking. So let me finish about this individual.
We're gonna come to this because let me show you something.
Can I finish my point though?
Go ahead.
So this man, Abdurrahman bin Udais, yes, he was actually one of the main people who, when they wanted to kill Uthman, he was the main person, the leader of the army who went to kill Uthman.
No, we Ahlul Sunnah, we say that Uthman radiallahu anhu, in fact, Okay, first of all, there's disputes on who the killers of Uthman were. Naam, do you agree that even to this day, that we still haven't been able to concretely find the killers of Uthman?
No, we
do
know
you
who they
agree
are.
with that?
No, we know who they are. They were the Sahaba.
Ma'adallah. So you Shia.
Or if I can prove it to you.
No, A'udhu billah. My dear brothers, this is what we say is dangerous. Wallahi al-Azim, we say is dangerous.
Yeah, go
Because
for
this
it.
brother here has claimed that the Sahaba radiallahu and killed Uthman. Ma'adallah,
Yes.
how is this? This is the most
Can I
stupid
prove it to you?
claim.
Can I prove it to you?
No, I will prove to you why you're wrong.
Okay,
I will
sure.
prove to you why you're wrong. Okay? 1 second.
Let me just give you the reference for it.
Which Sahaba are you trying to claim that killed Uthman?
Abdurrahman bin Udais. Inshallah, let me just get the reference for you now. Okay, so I have here, let me just get this here.
One second. No, 1 second. Let me get my things as well.
Yeah, don't you can have it
let me
ready.
get it. This is the biggest. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. These. Yo. We're gonna come. No. We're gonna come to this inshallah. See, this is my problem, Akhi. I should have had everything gathered, innit? That's my problem. But it was a bit of a last minute though, innit? But inshallah, we're gonna go into this now.
So what was the claims then?
So we've established from the Muhajir Ansar that certain people were apostatized and certain people were munafiq.
No,
Allah's
no,
not
no,
referring.
no, no,
Let me finish,
no,
Akhi.
no,
Let me finish, Akhi.
Brother, let me
You
explain.
keep
Because
interrupting
the
me,
way
but we
you're
say the
saying-
same thing. I'm
Okay,
gonna finish.
okay, go
There are
ahead.
certain people who are of the Muhajir Ansar who are munafiq, who either were munafiq or apostate from the religion. Allah is not referring to them in this verse. Those who apostated and who are munafiq, Allah is not praising them in this ayat.
Okay.
These are not the ones who we should, who Allah has prepared gardens for. To establish this. Now I'm mentioning a certain individual who actually led the army to kill Uthman, and he was actually Muhajir. And I'm going to include him within this ayat to say that, look, according to Sunni principles, this man will be classified as a munafiq. So we shouldn't follow him.
Yeah.
So,
Did
did you agree with that?
1 second. 1 second. So, we see that, subhanallah, people from, the brother Zain here is, and certain other Shia narrators, speakers, they combine weak reports with those Sahih reports, okay, which has no relevance, and they try to show something as, it's authentic. So they bring weak hadith, even on our YouTube website, rafida.net, .net, the guy calls himself Rafida. I don't know if you know about that YouTube. There's a YouTube video, there's a guy, quite big glasses, and he tried to claim about certain things about Uthman, about Aisha, and he even admitted in his own video that he's using fabricated narrations. So
I don't know, but
what
actually,
let me
we
explain.
can talk
We're
about individuals,
gonna-
but it prolongs the video.
But-
Inshallah, if you could just respond to the point.
I'm responding to the point now.
Once you got off your references, then remember, I'm going to mention mine
We're going to
first.
speak about that.
Inshallah, I'm going to mention
We're
mine
gonna
first.
talk about
But you said you'd let me
Okay,
mention mine first, right?
Go ahead.
So Abdurrahman bin Udais, he was actually one of the leaders. He was actually one of the leaders that said that he wanted to. He led the army to kill Uthman. As you know, Uthman, when he came in his time for his third year of political leadership, his khilafat, if you will, he actually he done some actions which the Sahaba were not necessarily pleased with. It came towards the end of his life where the Sahabi, people who Sunnis would consider companions of Rasulullah, came to kill this individual. One of these people was Abdurrahman bin Udais, who was a Muhajir. And he, in Abdul al-Bar, in his Al-Istiyab, narrates, Abdurrahman bin Udais al-Balawi al-Misri. He witnessed Al-Hudaybiyah. Yes, he witnessed Al-Hudaybiyah. Asad bin Musa mentioned from his Ibn Lahiya, from Yazid bin Abi Habib, who said Abdurrahman bin Udais al-Balawi was one of those who gave bay'ah to the Messenger of Allah under the tree. Yes, those who gave bay'ah under the tree. Abu Umar said he was the commander of the army that came from Egypt to Medina, the army that besieged Uthman and murdered him. So he was actually one of the individuals stated by Abdul Bar, one of the greatest scholars of Ahlul Sunnah. Inshallah, I haven't finished. Akhi.
No. Which Ahlul Sunnah? Let me explain.
Abdul Bar.
Brother, let me explain. Shaykh Albani, who you mentioned before, and you try to force and you basically unsuccessfully try to show that the Sabiqun, that Allah, when He says He's pleased with those first forerunners in faith among the Muhajirin and Ansar, you unsuccessfully try to claim that can also mean laymen like us. And I showed you that that's incorrect. Similarly here, I'm going to show you that Shaykh Albani rahmatullah alayhi, regarding the change of narration that you just said, he says...
For which hadith are we referring to?
Let me explain.
For which hadith
It's
are we-
weak. The one that... when you're speaking about these claims...
Jalaluddin Sayyidi is that one, Al-Jami' al-Saghir.
Of Ibn Luhay's... Of Ibn Luhay's hadith.
That's not the hadith I narrated.
We're gonna come to the hadith that you narrated as well. But I'm here to basically literally dissect all the claims about Uthman radiallahu anhu's killing. We're gonna go through them, some of them, yeah?
Could you just repeat the one I mentioned?
We're gonna come to the one you mentioned, inshallah. Let me just.
There's no point repeating the claim I haven't made, actually.
Let me just.
I mentioned Ibn Abdul Barr in his Al-Istiyad.
Okay,
he said that
so
Abdul
Imam
Rahman bin
Ibn
Adais was one of the individuals that went from Egypt to Medina, the army that besieged Uthman and murdered him. So he was the one who actually led the army to kill Uthman. So inshallah, if you could just answer that question.
They're rejected. Let me tell you why. Okay.
This one that I'm mentioning, please.
Brother, as for Abdurrahman bin Udais given allegiance under the tree, yeah, was reported only through Ibn Luhayya, yeah, and Shaykh Albani rahmatullahu alayhi, he said that this hadith is weak. So it's not even
that he gave bay underneath the tree.
And it's not even graded Hasan.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even graded Hasan. Now, for you to try,
so are you saying he's not a Sahabi? Is that your claim? You have to make your claim and then give evidence for it.
We're not going into him being Sahabi or whatever. We're clearly saying here that claim that you just made, that he gave the allegiance under the tree. What we are saying here is that Shaykh Albani rahmatullah alayhi, he said that chain is weak. Now, Sheikh Tariq bin Awad Allah said he's absolutely weak in his hadith. Okay, and he said this in his book Al-Naqd al-Banali hadith from Asma.
Who's weak? Sorry,
41 to 59.
Who's weak? Sorry,
regarding Ibn Luhayya.
Ibn Luhayya. Okay.
Ibn Luhayya that apparently Abdurrahman bin Udais gave allegiance under the tree. Sheikh Abdurrahman al-Dimishqi said, as for Abdurrahman bin Udais al-Balawi, that regarding those apparently him giving allegiance under the tree, then this is Luhayya's narration, who used to mix up, rather commit extreme excess. Yani. So this is one example, again, weakness. And as for the other part, that Abdurrahman ibn Udais was the emir of the army set out from Egypt and that he killed Uthman, and as mentioned in Istihab, then no one said that it was him who killed Uthman. Yeah? So the above hadiths are rejected because, first of all, weak narrator, single blow, and secondly, we totally reject the Shia claims about the killing of Uthman. Rather, what we say is that you claim that Sahaba killed Uthman. What we say is that even till today, yani, Uthman radiallahu was killed, but there's a bit of a there's a bit of a.
Inshallah, let me respond to that point.
Dispute.
Can I respond to that point?
Let me explain first.
Yeah, go for
let me come to it.
Go for it.
So, the role of the Saba'iyya. Who are the Saba'iyya? You may not know them, but the role of their role in killing Uthman. So Abdullah ibn Saba, la'natullah, we'll come to him later properly. He was the first ever Alawite. Okay, and his followers, yani, you know, some Ahlul Sunnah have the understanding that they may have played a role. We're not saying that he did. What we're saying, he may have played a role in the killing of Uthman ibn Affan, and not only that, the Yahud at the time, and there were many other controversies at the time that were taking place. We totally reject the Shia viewpoint regarding this, especially when they slander Aisha and Hafsa.
Let's not go to too many tangents, Aki, but let me just respond to the point you made. Yes, there have been some discrepancies as to whether he gave bay'ah under the tree, but I also have to...
Okay, so do you just now reject your point, what you just said? Let me explain.
Finish.
Brother, listen.
I haven't finished. I might come on to what you mentioned.
Let me ask you. Zain.
Okay, inshallah, I gave you time to finish. Finish. If I'm going to mention something, you can at the end of my statement...
Please.
At the end of my statement, I might...
On one of the basis of your argument, you said that he gave under the tree, and then you're trying to come to that he killed...
I might respond to that.
Allah.
So if you let me finish, I might actually
the audience can know that you've already clearly made the error here.
If I do, you can point it out and make me look like a bigger fool than
I'm not here to make you look like a fool.
If you wanted to point my mistake, you could do it much better. You could do it by a much better way. But if you let me finish,
come on, man, I'm not here to do.
I know. But just listen.
We're not enemies, yeah.
I know,
No,
but
no, no,
classical
no.
scholars, in spite of this hadith, it still mentioned that he was the one who killed Uthman. So your claim is redundant. Even if he gave bay'ah underneath the tree or not, he was still a Sahabi Rasulullah. So
No,
fair
no,
enough,
no.
he never get.
No, hold
let
on,
me
hold
finish, Aki. Ibn Athir. He says Abdurrahman bin Adais, he was a companion, and he was the commander of the army that came from Egypt to besiege Uthman ibn Affan when they murdered him. And this is in addition to the one I gave from Ibn Abdul Barr. So even if you can weaken the hadith by Abu Lulayn.
Which
Sorry?
Abdul Barr? Which
Abdul,
Abdul Barr?
the main Abdul Barr. Abdul Barr, the one who wrote it to Istiyab.
MashaAllah. Okay, now we're literally gonna dissect all of this
Go
one
for
by
it.
one, yeah?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So
Even
no,
if you
no,
weaken
no,
that
no,
hadith.
no,
My
no,
point,
no,
let me just
all the
mention my
hadiths-
claim. Let me
the
mention my
first one that
claim.
you
My
mentioned,
mention my claim.
Weak. The under the tree, weak.
Albani said it was Sahih. But
Well,
my point.
are you having enough? Albani, I'm showing it in front of you right now.
No,
Albani,
you mentioned from a
rahmatullahi
different book.
No, brother.
I mentioned from Jamil Saghir of
Brother, what are you
Jalaluddin
talking about?
Suyuti.
Sheikh Albani, rahmatullah, said the chain is weak. Because
For who?
Regarding Ibn Luhayya and regarding the Abdurrahman ibn Udais giving allegiance.
No, I'm not disputing that. I'm saying here that in spite of that fact, your traditional scholars have still considered him to be a Sahabi of those who led the army to besiege Uthman. Of one of those is Ibn Abdul Barr, the second one
We
of
are
those
not
is
aware
Ibn
of such
Athir.
No, let me explain. So, it came from Ikhmal of Ibn Makula. Yeah, it was reported al-Daraqutni regarding Abdurrahman ibn Udais al-Balawi and his brother Abdullah. He al-Daraqutni said Abdurrahman was among those who marched towards Uthman ibn Affan on the hand from Egypt. Ibn Makula said.
Who said the story?
No, Ibn Makula said, we are not aware of such incident.
No, but who's stating that tradition to begin with?
It's here.
I mentioned Ibn Abdul Barr and I mentioned Ibn al-Athir. I want these two references to be broken, inshallah. The ones I mentioned.
For argument's sake, no, but what do you mean?
I mentioned two references, Ibn Abdul Barr and Ibn al-Athir.
Hold on.
If you can break these two references, you've broken my argument. If you break someone else's who I haven't mentioned, you haven't broken my argument.
I already broke your argument because you're claiming that he gave allegiance under the tree.
Yes.
And for that reason, you're trying to basically
He was
say
still a
that
Sahabi. Even if he never gave bay'ah under the
listen.
tree, he's still a Sahabi.
No, but listen, you're trying to talk about the verse in the Quran and then you're basically going on.
Because he was a Muhajir.
No, but you're saying he gave allegiance under the tree. I'm telling you that that narration is weak. Yeah, so we Ahlul Sunnah, we don't even consider it to be sahih.
Mm-hmm.
So that already dissects half of your argument. First of all,
No, it doesn't.
And let me
It doesn't
explain
dissect
why.
any of it.
Because you're trying to prove a point based on that. Secondly,
Based on the fact that he was a Muhajir.
No.
Even if he didn't give bay'ah under the tree, he's still a Muhajir and a Sahabi.
no, because you're saying that he gave allegiance under the tree.
La,
And you're
I said it
talking
because he was a
about
Muhajir.
But in the beginning you mentioned it. Yes or no?
That's what Ibn Abdul Barr states.
We're gonna come to
I
this.
gave you his full statement, so you don't say,
We're
oh
gonna
look, he cropped one bit out. I read the whole thing to you, innit?
We're gonna come to this. So we must know the sanad upon which Al-Daraqutni replied, and if it was Al-Waqudi, then he is rejected. Moreover, it is not necessary that all those who marched from Egypt wished to kill him, but majority of them wished to remove him. And it was narrated to me by, and then there's another. We're gonna go into this.
Inshallah, Aki, we have to keep consistency here. I mentioned
we
Ibn
are.
al-Athir, I mentioned Ibn al-Athir, and I mentioned Ibn Abdul Barr. If you can break these two references, you have broken my argument. Yes, Ibn Abdul Barr, and he's your own scholar, it's not me who's narrating it. He himself is saying that he is one of those who gave bay'ah under the tree. So if you're breaking the argument, it's your own scholar who's saying it, which is fine, but he's still saying he was one of those who went to besiege Uthman, and he's the one who led the army.
No, we are not aware of such a thing, brother.
This is what he's saying, Aki. He's one of your biggest traditional scholars. So even if you break that part of the hadith which you said, it's fine. He's still a Sahabi. He's still a Muhajir. Even if he didn't give bay'ah under the tree. Do you understand my argument?
Hold on.
So
You have to show me. Because you're making a claim that our scholars and the hadith. Obviously, I'm not someone who's a muhaddith and I don't know every hadith. Yeah, so I'm not. But from Ahlul Sunnah, we reject the examples that you give because a lot of the times they're fabricated and you say they're sahih.
It's not hadith.
we
It's a
reject
historical account. It's not hadith here.
Even historical accounts, we have completely different understandings of history to the Shia school of thought.
It's not Shia. I'm not giving my own Shia scholars.
but
I give
brother,
Ibn al-Athir.
brother.
Ibn al-Athir, look, I'll say it again. This is Ibn al-Athir saying that in his Usul al-Ghaba. Abdurrahman bin Udais, he was a companion. He was a Sahabi. And he witnessed the bay'ah of Al-Ridwan. And he gave bay'ah there He's saying this. He's not saying anything about the hadith. He's testifying from the fact that he gave bay'ah under the tree. He was a Sahabi of Rasulullah. He was there, commander of the army that came from Egypt to besiege Uthman ibn Affan when they murdered him. He hasn't mentioned any hadith.
Imam Dhahabi's agreed upon the weaknesses of this viewpoint. Okay. He's our scholar. And there's so many other scholars that said that.
I think one thing that I'll say is that if the brother's saying he's disagreeing if he's got other scholars that are disagreeing, no problem. The point is that some scholars have agreed and some scholars have disagreed. So you've got people like Ibn Athir agreeing, and you've got people like if the brother saying there'll be no problem. Disagreeing. So the point is that some traditional scholars and Ibn Athir is the master when it comes to Sahaba.
Yeah, but what we Ahl Sunnah are saying, akhi, is that just because some of the companions marched from Egypt and so forth, that doesn't mean that they wanted to kill Uthman.
Okay.
Many of them wanted to remove him, because if that's the case, let me explain.
Okay.
Let me explain, brother.
Okay.
Because if that's the case, then what we're saying is that the Shia reason for hating Uthman is completely fabricated, because you can find, even in your narrations, that Ali radiallahu anh sent his own sons, okay, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anh, to protect him, and Hassan was injured from his head. But my question is this: why on earth would Ali?
I think we should.
Let me explain. Let me explain. Why? No. It's not off topic. It's important. We need to stay on topic.
But you have to refute my point.
After this
point, you don't move on to the specific.
We will.
Sahabas,
We will. Inshallah, we're going to go to specific Sahabas.
Because you don't been talking. Let me say something.
Go on.
The narration that's mentioned by Ibn, and I'm trying to be things so that I want you to talk. I don't really want to get too involved. But Ibn Athir that he's saying.
Look what he's saying.
So he's mentioned murdered. The reference he's quoted.
I have it in front of me.
Yeah, so
I've said it 2-3 times.
I get what you're saying, and you can disagree with that if you like. But the point what I'm trying to say is that the traditional scholars like Ibn Athir did say this. So if you disagree, it's fine.
It's fine.
But you can't keep saying Shia fabrication.
Yeah.
Because this is Ibn Athir.
And it's also the Ghaba, one of the greatest books on companions.
This is nothing to do with Shia fabrication. This is to do with historical Sunni referencing. Now, if you disagree, it's fine.
No. I totally disagree, because first of all, you can't give me. Because no, brother, you can't give it from by. Huh?
Who knows more, you or Ibn Athir?
No, Ibn Athir obviously 100%. No, but brother, we disagree with the concept and the understanding that Sahaba kill Uthman. Ma'adallah.
Why do you keep saying we? Ibn
Athir saying is a Sahaba.
Brother, he's one person, brother. Even if we were to say that he did say that, first of all, that can be disputed itself, yeah.
How?
And I'll tell you why. Secondly, even let's say for argument's sake to agree with you, let's say for argument's sake that Ibn Athir said, okay, he's a companion and whatever, blah blah blah. That doesn't mean that he's correct. That doesn't mean that just because he said it, that he's correct. No offense, but we don't consider anybody to be infallible. And many Shia, they say, let me explain. For example, they say the Imams are infallible. I'm going to explain to you why.
It's a separate topic.
No, we're going to go into it.
Topic by topic.
Why he wasn't infallible.
You can't delve into it.
From your own books, I'm going to show you why he wasn't infallible. That's an example. So just even let's say for argument's sake, Ibn Athir is human.
Ibn Athir is a master in the biographies of the Sahaba. People that you're quoting are not masters. Al-Bani's not a master of quoting a biography of the Sahaba.
So Ibn Hajj is not a master. Brother,
so show me Ibn Hajj said it wasn't him then.
Brother, Ibn Hajj, I just had it. I just had it here. Allah musta'an, man. I just had it here what Ibn Hajj said. I'm going to show you right now.
Actually, Ibn Hajj said the same thing.
But I'm going to show you what he said.
Go for it.
Because this is a very long topic, akhi. Do you get me? It's this specific issue. There's a lot of writing. I had it with me and I lost it. Ajib. I'm gonna find it. Wallah, I'm gonna find
it. Go for it. Take your time. Take your time. It's fine.
The point is now, if you can, it's like I'm saying, you find it, inshallah. Yeah. If it's disagreed, you disagree, no problem. The point is that the scholars who agreed, if we take that position, there's nothing wrong with that. So the point is, we're trying to say is that therefore they're not all just.
It's a valid position.
No. But if you're saying that Sahaba kill Uthman,
some of them, yeah.
No, brother, we totally.
No, but you keep saying we.
You keep saying we.
Ibn
Athir said it.
No, Ahl Sunnah. Ibn
Athir
said it on the issue, because I'm calling Ibn Athir and Ibn Hajar and Ibn Abdul Barr, and you're saying.
No, it can be the case. It can be the case that there's ikhtilaf.
No problem. So we accept the ikhtilaf. What we're saying is we're with that side, you're with that side, but therefore it's a Sunni position to accept it. You can't say it's not a Sunni position.
No. It can't be a Sunni position that we accept.
Ibn Athir and Hajar Asqalani.
We're gonna come into
These kind of guys are big guys. They're the pioneers of Sunnism.
Usud al-Ghaba.
They're the ones they're the biographies of the Sahaba. The point is that you can
everything that you said. It can be refuted here, but I'm just finding it.
It's not about refutation. It's
not about refuting.
It's about accepting that the point of view exists. You know, there's ikhtilaf in all schools. We have ikhtilaf within the Shia school on loads of issues as well. But the point is, this is an ikhtilaf kind of subject, so you have to accept that it exists and then say, okay, fine. I understand where you're coming from.
No. So you guys also claim that Allah musta'an. So let me ask you something, yeah? So
did you manage to find
No, let me ask you. So Abu Bakr, this is one of your Shia Ayatollah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the same subject?
Is it the same
yeah,
topic?
same topic.
Go on.
Are you refuting our point or you additional one?
No. Well, so
if it's on topic, then
Al-Nawabakti said people apostatized and left Islam and Banu Hanafiya alleged prophethood of Musaylama, who alleged prophethood at the time of the Messenger of Allah. So Abu Bakr sent horses. One of the horses was Khalid bin Walid, and he called them Musaylama Ahlu Rid'a.
What does that have to do with
No, that's the battle of apostasy. Afwan. It's not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway,
but the point was that the point of that was that you guys obviously make certain things about. We're gonna come to it about Khalid.
Akhi, we're staying. Let me finish.
But to stay on Uthman,
I gave a reference from Ibn al-Athir. I'll wait for you. If you can refute this reference by giving someone else, there's ikhtilaf.
Okay, Hassan al-Basri. Okay. It's offensive reported that Al-Hasan al-Basri, who was eyewitness of this crime, was asked, did anyone from among the Muhajirin or Ansar participate in the killing of Uthman? He, Rahman, replied, no, they were Murtaddin from Egypt. And all men in the chain are among the thiqat, so this is something, the chain of narrations have been made. Let me explain, I'm not referring. Likewise, it's offensively reported from Qais bin Abi Hazm that no Sahabi was among those who participated in the killing of Uthman ibn Asakir.
So there's ikhtilaf then, right?
No.
But inshallah, if I mentioned Ibn Athir, let me just mention some more references here, inshallah. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani in his Al-Isaba, he mentions Ibn al-Baraki, al-Baghawi, and others said that. Akhi, let me finish the reference. Let me finish the reference.
We have to. What we have to.
Akhi, let me finish the reference. That's what you keep cutting me off. I give you time to speak. I don't cut you off.
I have to go check them because I can't necessarily.
Let me mention. It's a video, Akhi. So inshallah, if I give it, inshallah, you can give it to me afterwards. But I don't cut you off when you speak, Akhi. I'll give you time to speak. But let me, Raza, I got it. Let me just say it. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani in his Al-Isaba says Ibn al-Baraki, al-Baghawi, and others said that this individual was one who gave bay'ah under the tree. Ibn Yunus said that he was one of those. We went through that already. Akhi, he's saying regardless of the hadith, he's saying he gave bay'ah under the tree. Let me finish. Ibn Yunus said that there was one of those who gave bay'ah under the tree, witnessed the victory of Egypt and participated in it, and were among the knights. And then he became the general of the army that attacked Uthman. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani has also said in his Tajil al-Manfa, Ibn Munus mentioned him in the biography of Abdurrahman bin al-Dais and said that Abu Dhar narrated from him and both of them were Sahabi. Al-Badaya wal-Nahaya, yes? After killing Uthman, his murderers tried to remove his head. The women began to shout and beat their faces. Two wives of Uthman.
Brother, these narrations, Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, we're coming to this now. Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, you're talking about Ibn al-Hajar, Ibn al-Athir. Let me just destroy this in one point. Now I've come to this and I found it. All the above narrations that you're speaking, including Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, and we're going to show it. I'm going to show it to you now as well.
Go for it.
They contain Al-Waqidi, okay, who was considered a liar, first of all. Hadith are considered weak, and fabricator of hadith.
I never mentioned hadith.
But then what are you mentioning?
There's no chain. There's no hadith. This is the scholars giving their own interpretation.
But the scholars were saying
you're not getting the point, Akhi. This is not a hadith.
Yeah, but we're saying the narrations.
Do you know what hadith is? Do you know what the difference between hadith and historical account is? These scholars are saying that they believe their own they believe in the historical account that he was a companion of Rasulullah and he was one of those who marched against Uthman and he was one of the
even in Bidayah wal Nihaya, not just we
need to stop that part because look, it's agreed. That some scholars saying no, like you're saying.
No, brother. I can't explain to you.
Did our scholars say yes?
Brother, let me tell you.
Did our scholars say yes?
Your scholars say that the Sahaba killed Uthman.
Your scholars.
No, but our scholars, that claim that you're making, that chain, these chains.
There's no chain. It's an historical account.
He's not getting it.
He's not getting it. It's not a chain. It's not a hadith.
So what are you trying to say?
Look, Akhi, listen.
Ibn Athir writes the book. Usul Ghaba.
Yeah.
Act. He writes a book based on the companions' lives. He mentions about their lives, etc., etc.
They would not write it about their lives, akhi, without hadith. Yes or no?
Of course, I get the sources. They've
I
got
get it.
sources for it.
They've looked at
I'm
all
trying to
the
say-
sources.
I'm trying to say that wasn't. Now, if you can weaken it, it's fine. You can play the weakening game. It's no problem. But the point is, some scholars agreed with it. You're quoting a lot of contemporary, the Mishki, Albani, Fulan, that are weakening it. No problem. The point
No,
is,
I'm not talking about Mishki. We're talking about like.
Did you refute any of the ones I
That
mentioned?
is al-Waqi. We're talking about Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah al-Qannas. We're talking about
Who's that?
the fact that it's weak.
Who's that?
Who's that?
All the above. A scholar, akhi. خلاص.
No, but Aki, I'm giving you your pillars. I'm giving you Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Asad al-Ghaba. I'm giving you Ibn Athir.
You're having trouble accepting that it's a Sahabi that does
It's
it.
a Sahabi that done
we
it.
You're having trouble accepting it.
Yeah.
Brother, it's
You
not
thought it was a
like-
Shia.
You thought it was a Shia thing, bro.
No,
You
brother.
thought it was a Shia thing.
No,
was a
it
Sahabi
is,
thing,
because I'll
bro.
tell you why. Because the narrations
Was
you're
that
bringing,
Sunni,
akhi,
was
they
that
have.
Shia scholar? They're
Brother,
not
brother.
Shia scholars.
They're not
Shia
Shia scholars,
scholars.
but brother, you have.
So
You
why
have
did
to
Sunni
accept.
mention it?
Why is the Sunni
You have to
mentioning
accept
it?
that we refute it, and I'm coming to it. Yani, all these things that you're mentioning, you're trying to say that Ahlul Sunnah scholars and so forth explain, accept the killing of Uthman. We totally reject this. Akhi. We reject this, and we're coming into this now.
Okay, I think if you can refute our references,
No,
I
I think we should
mentioned.
move forward now.
Yeah, I think we should move forward. Aki.
No, one sec.
Because you're gonna take out all change and start weakening it. Okay, let's go.
No,
forward.
because they are though, akhi.
Based on who Albani.
No, not just Sheikh Albani, other
you
scholars
don't
as
know
well.
the chain.
Raza,
Where it from?
it doesn't matter the chain is.
Akhi, you're talking about narrations from
let me finish,
You were the
inshallah.
narrators.
Let me
akhi.
finish.
Show me.
What? I'll already give you the reference.
One sec, show me.
He thinks you're good. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand the principle. What? Understand one thing, Aki. I'll give you the reference. The scholars, after analysing all the hadith,
Okay, so now you're
have given
using
their
this.
own personal verdict.
So you're saying
I'm giving you the personal
okay,
verdict.
We're coming to this. Imam Ibn Athir records the biography of this Sahabi in the following manner: Abdurrahman ibn Udais, etc. This is lineage. He had companionship witnessed by Yazid Ridwan. He gave bayah during it, and he was a commander of the army which marched to Egypt to besiege Uthman ibn Affan, and he was murdered. And you're using Asad al-Ghaba, volume 3, page 309. Yes? Yes or no?
429.
Let me correct you. Volume 3, page 309.
Okay.
Not 14.
Maybe it's a different version, but yeah, it's also the Ghaba, yeah.
Okay.
That's the
Asad
exact same
al-Ghaba.
reference, yeah.
Yeah, volume 3. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Ibn Sa'ad records the massive role in this Sahabi.
Could you just
Uthman.
go one by one?
We're coming to this, Akhi. I'm going to dissect all of this, inshallah.
Go on.
Egyptians who attacked Uthman were 600 and were led by Uthman.
Who said this?
Ibn Sa'ad. Are you not using him as example? Or are you just sticking to this one by Ibn Athir?
I gave you Ibn Athir,
Okay.
and I gave
Okay,
you
so let's
Abdul Bar, and I gave you Hajar
okay, now we're coming to Imam Ibn Abdul Bar. So you're saying, okay, Abdurrahman ibn Abdul Radais witness Hudaybiyah was one of those that gave allegiance under the tree. Abu Umar said he was the head of the army that attacked Uthman. And then which one you're using? Imam Hajar al-Asqalani. He records that Imam al-Baghawi, another said that he was one of those who gave bayah under the tree. Ibn Yunus said that he was one of those who gave bayah under the tree, witnessed the victory of Egypt and participated in it, and were among the knights, and then he became the general of the army that attacked Uthman. And then you're saying that's volume 4, page 281. So that's the one you're talking about, 281, yeah? Ibn Abdul Bar. Okay. And is there any other ones? And then you're saying Bidayah wal Nihaya. You use that as an example. Volume 7, page 179. Yes or no?
Let me see if I can.
After killing Uthman, his murderers tried to remove his head, and the woman, that one, yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. For Abdurrahman bin Udais, the narration that he gave allegiance on the tree, first of all, we've already been through this.
Which one is that?
As for Abdurrahman bin Udais,
The tradition, okay.
and the narration that he gave allegiance under the tree, that was only reported through Ibn Nuhayya, okay? And we know the hadith and what the scholars have said about Ibn Nuhayya, that Shaykh Albani said the chain is weak. We've already been through this.
That's
Shaykh
fine.
Albani,
That's fine.
Who said it was weak about from Albani?
Abdurrahman and Dimishri, there's many. And now as for the other part, that
No,
Abdurrahman...
I'm talking
we're coming to this.
contemporary. I'm talking about traditional.
We're coming to this, brother. We're coming to that.
You can't start quoting Salafis.
Yeah, you can't start quoting Salafis.
Go to the
scholars.
scholars.
What do you mean
Go to the
Salafi?
Salaf.
Akhi, the Salaf... Are you being serious, Akhi? The Salaf Salihin is who we take from, Akhi.
Yes,
Salafi scholars.
Let me explain. Now as for the other part, that Abdurrahman ibn Udais was the Amir of the army set out from Egypt that killed Uthman, as mentioned in Islam, then no one said it was him who killed Uthman. Okay? Joshua Tadil and Tariq al-Islam, Tafsir al-Mutaba, you'll find it there. So the above hadiths that you mentioned, and the above examples by Ibn Hajar, Ibn Hadir, are rejected because of weak narrator in a single blow. That's what we say.
Okay.
Also, it came from Al-Ikmal of Ibn Makula. It was reported, and I've already said to you here as well, before I've mentioned this, that that we are not aware of such an incident. Ibn Makula, he said we are not even aware of such an incident. Okay. No.
Let him finish. Okay, I can finish. I'm going to give you the chance to finish. I'm going to give you the chance to finish what you're saying. Let him finish what you're saying
is
first.
somebody who is a liar.
Okay.
If you guys take from a liar, it's like the example that the Shia claim that Umar.
Okay. Stick to the subject. Okay. Stick to inshallah. I'm going to give you time to speak. Let's have a respectful dialogue. We'll give you some food. You can talk whilst you're eating. Inshallah, finish your point.
I'm hungry, man.
Finish your point. Inshallah. Is that your point? Yeah.
That's my point.
Okay, our point is, let me just conclude it there. Our point is, fair enough, you've got some people who are weak in the hadith, but in regardless, you still have scholars like Ibn Abdul Bar, like Ibn al-Athir, like Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, your bigger scholars who have still believed in this incident, regardless of whether they're weak in the hadith, they still believed in the incident from a historical account perspective. So inshallah we can end it there.
Brother, when they were explaining it, that doesn't mean they believed in it.
Yes? They say they believed in it.
Brother, let me
this is them giving their own opinion.
Brother,
what they think happened.
Brother, let me tell you something. Just because they are explaining the narrations by others, because they're
this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying.
No, brother, go back to it.
Yeah, go on.
Go back to it.
Go on.
Yeah. Then go back to it. We're gonna go back to it.
Ibn Abdul Bar, go on.
Abdul Bar, okay.
For example, if you go to Ibn
okay, Hajar one example. Ibn al-Barq al-Baghawi and those others said that he was one of those who gave bay'ah under the tree.
Yeah, they said it.
Yeah, but we're talking about him narrating from others.
Listen,
let me explain.
I'm gonna finish because you've gone on 3 times. Let me finish.
Let me explain.
Okay, let me just finish. Ibn al-Athir. Listen to what he's saying. Listen. I'm gonna say it last time. I'm gonna move on. Ibn al-Athir, he is saying Abdul Rahman bin Udais, he was a companion and he witnessed bay'ah under Ridwan and he gave bay'ah there. He was the commander of the army that came from Egypt to besiege Uthman ibn Affan when they murdered him. He never gave a tradition. There's no tradition. There's no chain. It's him who's giving his own opinion.
Move forward.
But inshallah, let's move forward.
Brother, the reason why that's false. Let me tell you why.
Okay. You've explained it enough times. We've explained it enough times, Aki. Let's just move on.
It has a weak narrator, a liar, a kadhab.
Okay. Ibn Athir,
but he's speaking about the narrator, Aki. He's not talking about...
Show me where he's talking about the narrator.
He's not talking about the narrator, Aki. He gave the tradition. There's no point going in circles,
at the time.
Aki, there's no point going in circles.
I wasn't there, but when Ibn Athir was explaining it, he was explaining from the narration. Yes.
Ibn Athir's giving his opinion.
He's giving his own opinion.
So Ibn Athir came how many years after?
Ibn Athir was
How many
a
years
master
after?
of biographies of Sahaba.
How many years after?
And he knew more than any other scholar of today.
Lakin who was he speaking about? Which narrator?
Sahabi.
Ibn Hayya is a liar.
He hasn't mentioned narrators. He hasn't mentioned hadith.
He does.
How do you know his chain?
If you read the rest
He
of the
hasn't
book,
mentioned hadith.
if you read the rest of his book,
Show me
because
the chain.
I've read some of it, but not all of it.
Okay,
As
inshallah.
Sahabi, there's no chain. He hasn't mentioned the chain.
We're talking about the narrator.
He hasn't mentioned him.
Okay, but actually, let's finish. Remember, the original topic. The original topic that we were talking about was Surah 9 verse.
Because
You
Ibn Hayya,
can't keep saying lie.
brother, let me tell you, it's a lie, brother. Ibn Hayya was a liar, brother.
Who was that? Ibn Hajar
Brother,
was a liar?
listen, these brothers, man. So
Ibn Hajar, Ibn Athir, they were liars? They were liars.
Ibn al-Hajar.
They were lies. Let's move forward.
No. I'm not saying they're liars. Ibn Hayya, yeah.
Yeah,
The
he's a
one
liar.
who reported this, he was a kadhab.
Okay, cool.
Who
Who
said
says
he a
kadhab?
Sahabi?
Who says he's a kadhab?
Ibn Hayya, because
Was he a Sahabi?
Shaykh Al-Bani
By any
said he's a
chance?
liar.
Or was he a Sahabi,
The
that
chain
guy who
is
said
weak.
it?
Huh?
Was that a Sahabi or Ibn Luhayya?
Who said he's a Sahabi?
I'm asking.
He's not. He doesn't.
He doesn't want to say it. He doesn't want to say it.
A Sahabi, someone on the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is pleased with. If someone is a liar, how can he be a Sahabi?
No, that's not your definition. Okay,
Allah,
somebody is anyone who saw the Prophet.
Which is good. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
it's
Allah
fine.
understand.
He's a liar. He's a liar. Are you sure about that?
Akhi,
Is he a liar? Is he a
you're
kadhab?
trying to say Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman,
Is he,
Khalid, one of the liars.
Abu Layya, is he a Sahabi?
Akhi, Ibn Hayya here.
Is he a Sahabi?
Ibn Hayya here is a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so-
a liar. Yeah, he's a kadhab. Is he a Sahabi?
He's a kadhab. There's no narration, or you wouldn't find a hadith that's saying that, oh, he's someone who basically is
But he's
truthful
a
and so
Mahajir.
forth.
He's also a Mahajir.
See, this is
No,
the
I'm
Shia. This is the
joking.
Shia trick.
He's not.
Kadhab. I was a bit lost.
He's not. But okay, let's just go back to the original topic.
So anyway, we know that this.
Let's move forward.
has been
Aki.
dissected. But let's
No,
do
you haven't refuted nothing.
I have because
Yeah.
if the audience will know, wallahi, it's not ikhtilaf. Wallahi al-azim.
Why did you say wallahi?
Let me
Okay,
tell
so
you why.
wallahi al-azim.
Because you're trying to say.
That sounds like what someone said
That
to
sounds
you.
like someone you can't say
Say
wallahi.
wallahi
Brother,
al-azim and he
let me
called you a...
Let me explain why, brother. Look, brother. I know.
He said wallahi
Brother,
al-azim.
why are you bringing this up, bro? You need to edit this out, bro.
You haven't mentioned it, sorry.
Because you said wallahi al-azim. You shouldn't say that.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I said wallahi. The Ahlul Sunnah perspective, there is no ikhtilaf in Ahl Sunnah at all that a Sahaba, a companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kill Uthman. Ma'adallah. We seek refuge in Allah from this. And many Shia.
So you're saying no scholar had that opinion?
Akhi.
Do you know what ijma is?
Akhi, listen.
Do you know what ijma is? There's no scholar that refuted that. Are you saying there's no scholar that had that opinion? I just stated free to you. How could you say that?
I'm telling you that the narrator is weak.
I know, but that doesn't negate the fact you just said it's ijma. There's still scholars, even if that train was weak, for argument's sake, the scholars still believed in it. There's no ijma then, in that case. You do know that. You might have a stronger basis to put your opinion on. You might have a stronger basis, but you can't say there's ijma. Ijma.
You can't just say stuff like that.
Brother,
Don't say wallahi, you shouldn't say wallahi.
Wallahi. It is what I am saying, wallahi adim, that the Ahl Sunnah, Sunni, yeah? The Sunni Muslims today, no. We never say a Sahaba or companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam killed Uthman ibn Affan.
Apart from Ibn Athir.
We reject this. We reject this. Totally reject it. Brother, you can't say Ibn Athir. I'm telling
Raza,
you.
let's not go around in circles. Aki, I don't like to go around in circles. Aki, I don't like to.
Let's go forward.
Let's go forward. Let's go forward.
I'm gonna speak to my teacher.
Inshallah.
We're gonna come back to this. Inshallah, I will introduce you to my teacher.
Inshallah. Be nice.
Because he's somebody who's far more knowledgeable than me.
Yeah, I understand. But in short, we were talking about Surah 9 verse 100.
No, Akhi, we're gonna go around in circles. Let's stick.
I'm just concluding. I'm just concluding this part of the discussion. That's fine. No, but the topic was the Dawah Sahaba. Topic was the Dawah Sahaba.
We've been through that.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just concluding the point. You conclude yours, inshallah. We'll carry on going from the discussion there. But the point was, from the Muhajir and Ansar, people who migrated the Prophet and helped him in Medina, there were people who apostated, there were people who were munafiq, which we should not take our religion from, who Allah was not referring to when He said He had prepared gardens for them in Surah 9 verse 100. I also gave the other Surah 9 verse number 70.
Brothers, no.
I'm concluding. I'm concluding. Don't be disrespectful. I'll give you the time to conclude. In Surah 9 verse 72, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the exact same thing in Surah 9 verse number 72 about believing men and women. And I'm sure you wouldn't given the interpretation to Imam Sahaba in Surah 9 verse 100 to Surah 9 verse 72 regarding the believers and regarding the believing men and women. Because Allah said He also prepared gardens for them. So in regard to this, and you didn't respond to this point, Aki.
No.
Okay, let me finish. You can dissect everything.
No, brother. Let me dissect it. Let me finish.
That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful. We're going to go to Sahaba now.
Brother,
we're going to go to it.
My dear brother,
I'll give you the time to conclude.
Brother, can you let me speak?
Yeah, but I'm still concluding. You haven't given me 30 seconds.
أنا جوعان أخي ولا
Can I conclude? You conclude. I conclude. You conclude. Yeah, we'll get you some food. But let me just conclude once again. We were talking about the concept of Dawah Sahaba, that every single companion of Rasulullah was adul, a just, who never attributed light to him. There were people, he tried using Surah 9 verse 100, saying...
No, don't say I tried. I used it. Okay. Allah is pleased with the Muhajir and Ansar.
Okay.
However, the Murtadin, the Munafiqin, Allah is not speaking about
them. You can refute me.
The Sahaba radiallahu an, Allah is not speaking about those who became Murtadin.
Yeah.
Allah is not speaking about those who are Munafiqin. Allah is not speaking about Abdullah ibn Ubay.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that.
That's the claim you're making.
No, it's not.
You're trying to say that.
I'm saying yes, there are people who are Munafiq that weren't Munafiq.
No, but you're saying among those Muhajir, so you're saying Allah made a mistake in the ayah.
No, I'm saying Allah's not referring to them. I'm saying the same thing you are, but you're not giving me...
No, I said that first, but if you look at the video and you see what you said first, it's completely different, akhi.
Listen. If you understand, I'll just explain it one more time.
Okay.
There were people who were from the Muhajir Ansar who were munafiq, but Allah's not referring to them in this ayat.
Astaghfirullah.
They would still be classified as Muhajir, but Allah's not referring to them in this ayat.
Who said that they are classic? Akhi, listen.
We're saying the same thing, but actually I'm going to conclude because I want to speak to the viewers here. I've explained it multiple times. We were going to prove from this ayat that every single companion who's Muhajir Ansar was adul. He was a Sahabi and a just individual. He never attributed light to the Prophet. I'm going to go to Twitter, inshallah. You're not letting me speak.
Akhi, I'm letting you speak.
Do you believe Abu Bakr was appointed by the Prophet as a successor?
Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu an, okay, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam praised him. He hid with him in the cave.
Okay, answer my question.
Let me explain. We're going to come to that.
Yeah.
We're going to come to that. He hid with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the cave.
Yeah, Allah told him not to grieve.
Okay. His daughter married the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and the people chose him. Ali radhiallahu anhu gave bay'ah on the first day. Yes.
Okay.
And he gave bay'ah in fact like 2 or 3 times to prove that he respects and loves Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
Another position. Okay, carry on.
We believe that. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
We will come to that. You've never heard of that. Subhanallah. So you're saying that Allah chooses or decides who should be Khalifa. Is that what you're saying?
Who should succeed his authority, yes.
Allahumma sa'ad.
I'm asking what's your position?
You're saying Abu Bakr radhiallahu anhu is a bid'ah. This is the biggest innovation that you have created to say that Allah should only decide the Khalifa but the people can't.
Yes.
So you're saying that Allah gives a divine, like as if He gives some sort of revelation that no, this person has to be Khalifa. Is that what you're
Yes, we
saying?
believe Khilafat comes from Allah.
Allahul Musta'an. I know saying Abu
What if I
Bakr
can prove it to you from the Quran?
Go on, try to.
Please, bro, please.
Sayyid Qutb!